Hey, Built from Scratch Machine Shop here, coming at you with another video. In our last video, we talked a little bit about my bulletproof Christmas tree that I designed and machined out of aluminum. This was a bulletproof design and was designed to be a 5-tier Christmas tree. I think I had one customer that got one that was like 3, 5, 7, and 9. But yeah, I used to make Christmas trees out of these, and watch the other video that I'll link in the description that talks about this. But this wasn't the only design. This was not the only design that I had for these Christmas trees. I did something a little bit different because back then people were making RGB Christmas trees just a little bit different. They had some products that hadn't quite hit the market yet, and I was one of the first people that came out with a way to attach RGB pixels to other things. So this was my invention. This is a RGB pixel clip. It was a rainy pixel clip is what they were initially called. And way back then, people were taking these RGB pixels and they were attaching them to this pallet banding strap. And I made a clip that hooked onto that and held it securely so that you could make a Christmas tree out of this pallet banding strap. And they would take these and they would hook it up on these big long poles, and they had hooks at the top and hooks at the bottom, and they would put all of these Christmas lights on there. And I was like, gosh, I need to make a clip that fits that and holds those lights. Now those are RGB pixels, and that is our pixel clip there. But that clip that I used has all of those features to not only hook it onto this 1/4 by 1/2 inch bar stock, but also onto that pallet banding strap. And this is an addressable LED light that you can turn any color on, off. You can run patterns through it. You can see these on crazy Christmas light houses. So this is the product that I was working with, and that's the product I designed. So those great big RGB pixel Christmas trees, the ones that you can run pictures on, you can run patterns, you can make them sing, you can turn them colors, they all used to be built out of this pallet banding strap. And this was long before a company called Boscoyo came out, and they created a strap that actually had holes, and you just push the lights through the holes. It came out 6 months after my clip was done. And basically they ruined my business when they did that. But that was my solution because everybody was building trees like this. Well, I came along and I decided I needed to build something just like my bulletproof Christmas tree. And so I designed pixel strap trees that used more machined components, that they were going to be more robust. And I took my Christmas tree hub with the branches, and I literally turned it upside down. So normally it would face like this, but I turned it upside down, and the weight of it would actually push the tree open. So I used that, and I created trees that did this. They were rapid setup trees. So those branches were facing down, and then this would put tension on those branches and hold them out. So this took care of the basic hub design I already had done, and then everything else I started designing more components for that. So let's take a look at these a little bit closer. All right, so this is a little bit closer look at the tree. So down here on the bottom of the tree, I had my branch hub, right? This is my Rainy Oregon Christmas tree branch hub, and they were pretty complex. You could adjust the angle of the branches, you could adjust where it was, you could do a lot of work on that. Now, when the banding strap trees first came out, people were putting those together using zip ties. So you wrapped a little electrical tape around it, then you put a couple of zip ties on either side. You can kind of see them there. And I was like, gosh, that's a great idea, but it really kind of actually sucks. What if we made a clamp? And so I came up with using my 1/4 by 1/2 inch bar stock, and I created a threaded and tapped clamp, and then you could adjust this however you wanted, and then you locked it in with a D-ring. I still have hundreds of these, but that's the D-ring, and that D-ring goes right here. So that's pretty cool because I can take this and with these, you bend it open, you bend it closed, you put it in here, and that locks that strap in. And so it's in there and it's secured in the tree and it won't come out. On the top, I needed to find a way to secure those. So what people were doing is they were taking like J-hooks. So they were taking hooks like this, and they were just taking plates and drilling a bunch of holes in it, and then that D-ring would then fit in there, and you would dangle it from up above on the tree. And I was like, gosh, yeah, but you know, these are like $1.37 a piece. Then I need the nuts and the bolts and the washers. And then what if it just kind of slips out? So I came up with a little bit better idea. And that's where I came up with what I called my, well, they call these hook heads, but this is basically a topper. And I just wanted a design that would allow me to put these pieces in here and secure it. And this is a 6-strap topper here, so it holds 6 of these banding straps. The internal feature looks like this. So that is milled in there, 1/4-inch end mill, still using, look at this, look at those offcuts. I absolutely loved working with those offcuts. I had my set screws there, I could lock it in, and then this would go right in here. I had drilled and tapped plates that I could put on top, and that would secure in the D-rings, and then this piece wouldn't move. Slip it over my galvanized pipe, and I have, voila, instant tree. So you can see this is that plate. It's a little bit thicker than an 1/8 inch on there, and then it's got those 6 drilled and tapped holes. So that was that design there. So, you know, a 6-strap tree is pretty sparse, so people wanted something that had a little bit more, so I was like, oh gosh, let me think of what we could do so that we can come up with a few more. So we have 6 here. Well, if we take that same design and we drill through holes through it, right, and these are set at a very particular angle, then what we can do is we can actually line them up, we can cross bolt them, so put some bolts in through there, and then when you go through, all of these are staggered. So I could put my D-ring in there on that one and my D-ring in this one, and they would be staggered and offset, and it would lock it in. And then my little hook head here could then hold 12, right? And this is all machine billet. You could put several hundred pounds on this and you're not going to be pulling it out. Basically, you would break these D-rings before you'd ever get that to come out of here once it's bolted together. So that allowed me to do 12 straps. And I was like, great, that's a good idea. But what if I want to do more? What if I want to do it on a bigger tree and not just the smaller folding trees? So I designed yet another part. I took that same feature and I made it so that it held 12. So I've got 12 of these here. We can do the same exact thing. We can put our D-rings in here. You can do all your straps. You can go all the way around. And then I was like, gosh, well, that gives me 12, but what if I want 24? So I did another design, and then this is offset with the same idea of the bolt pattern. You offset it by half, and then you lock those in here. And again, this is billet aluminum. There is no way that you're going to get this to come off of there. This is a really strong hook head. And I made this, my father's pixel tree is made out of this. And this is, what is this, 4-inch material? Yeah, 4-inch aluminum. I think it's 6061 T6 aluminum. It's not going anywhere, but this was definitely a bulletproof design. And then I had it set where you could just attach a plate like this one here for 12, or you could put the second on top of it and make it for 24. You could do 12 straps on one side, and that could be for a 180-degree tree, or all 24 for a 360-degree tree. But that was one of my designs there. It went pretty well. This is one of the few products that you can actually see if you know where you're looking from. This expandable tree, just like that, is actually did make an appearance on the Great Christmas Light Fight. So I made this, and I made a candy cane that used my my 1/2-inch by 1/4-inch bar stock, and then these pixel clips. You can see that actually on an episode of the Great Christmas Light Fight. There's a gentleman that was down in Boise that was on an episode of Great Christmas Light Fight, and there is, if you know right where to look, you can see these trees actually in there. So they were in his display. But yeah, this is another part that I worked on. So using that same piece I already showed, but introducing a couple other components that I machined. So the clamps, This is the pallet banding strap feature on here, so that holds that securely on the pallet banding strap. And then the machined hook heads is the other piece that I designed. So anyway, if you are interested in some of these pieces and you're a Christmas lighter, go ahead and drop a message in there. These are all going to be up for sale too, again, to try to get some funding in here to the machine shop so that I can clear out some of this old inventory. I mean, I'm going to keep a couple of pieces is kind of a resume, but really I want to get some of this old inventory moved out. But if you're interested, go ahead and drop me a message and I'll get you some details on this. But that's another one of the things that I designed as a machinist. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying seeing a little bit of the backstory of where I was as a machinist and some of the things that I designed, and kind of see where I'm coming from, what tools I know how to use. And if you are a Christmas lighter or just someone that wants to kind of get into that and you're interested in some of my old products, go ahead and drop me a line, and I'd really love to connect with you to get some of that cash flow back into the machine shop so we can take this garage space and turn it into a fully functional machine shop where I can turn out some wonderful parts and wonderful machined items. And really, I need your help in order to be able to do that. Again, we're limited on tools at this point. There's nothing new that's come in. We've still just got bench tapper, drill press, buffing wheel, and a few other odds and ends. Of course, our precision measuring tooling. But we want to add a milling machine, and that's really what we'd like to add to the channel, because that's where I did a lot of my work. I mean, this was all done on a conversational, but done right, that could be done on a completely manual machine. So I want to get back into that. I did sell my mill right before I moved, but wasn't able to replace it. And now I need to get back into machining. So I really need your help. So help us out by subscribing. And if you are interested in anything that we show, just go ahead and drop me a message and I'll connect with you about that. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying. I hope you're following along. I hope you subscribe. Built from Scratch Machine Shop.